to introduce one of my other colleague cohort friends from the Voices from the American Land chapbook that we're celebrating tonight. Brent Martin, one of the three of us who are represented in the book. Brent is the regional director for the Wilderness Society here in Western North Carolina. He is probably, out of all the people that I know, and I don't know everybody, but I think he's probably walked more miles in these mountains than anybody in the last 10 years that I know of. He is always in the woods, on the trail. Aside from Lamar Marshall, he may be the most well-hiked person here in this room for sure. And he's also an author. He's an author of 2 books of poetry. Poems from Snow Hill Road is one I particularly like. He's from over the Snow Hill Cowie community in Macon County. And what else can I say about Brent? Nothing. Brent Martin.
I think I'll start by saying that I've worked in the nonprofit world, most of my adult life, and let's say that this whole evening probably started with a $50 check that I wrote to a place called the Center for the Study of Place, which is the publisher of the Voices from the American Land series. So like a lot of people in the nonprofit world and who's made a living in the nonprofit world, struggle through all the nonprofit struggles anyone working in the nonprofit world goes through. When I get an appeal from someone that looks like these people need money, I usually send them a check. I can't afford it, but I do it anyway. So when I received a solicitation from the Center for the Study of the Place, it really struck a chord with me because immediately I thought anything called the Center for the Study of the Place. Oh, how can you go wrong there? And when I read what they were trying to do with this series, Voices from the American Land, I was just struck by the poignancy, the attention that they were willing to shower upon a particular place. So after I sent this $50 check, I received a couple of chapbooks in the mail, which I have with me tonight. One is called The Grace of Ancient Land by Patricia Moynihan, who's a Wisconsin poet. And the book was about a place called Driftless Land, which was a very unusual place in Wisconsin where glaciation is escaped. It's a little hot. So you have all this really unusual biodiversity in the driftless land. And it was a book of poetry about this little place, this little pocket of the world where Patricia Moynihan lived. And it was a beautiful idea, a beautiful poem. So then I received another book by Tony Morris, who had written a little chapbook called Rio del Corazon, which was about his homeland in the Rio Grande River Valley. And once again, I was just struck by the beauty of this place, this attention to place. And at that time, I had written these 2 little chapbooks about Cowie, where I live, and numerous eccentric characters there that I had encountered over my years living in Cowie Valley. And I went to Thomas Raine Crowe, and I had 2 extra copies of these books because I made a donation, and I gave these to Thomas. And immediately when I saw this, I was like, wow, it would be so cool to do this here in Southern Appalachia. But I'm usually intimidated by these kinds of things. Thomas took it well. He was like, let's do it. But Thomas, me and Thomas immediately got hold of the publisher of Voices from the American Land and contacted them and put the proposal in, and they took it. And so here we are tonight, thanks to the North Carolina Humanities Council and a whole lot of work on Thomas's behalf to make this happen tonight. Here we are celebrating our place, our landscape. It's so important to all of us here. And several years ago, some of you probably read Richard Lou's book, Last Child in the Woods. If you haven't read Richard Lou's book, Last Child in the Woods, it's to me one of the most profound books about the loss of attention to nature in this country that I've seen. And I think most people who've read it would agree. In recent times, we really spent a lot of time interviewing Americans about where they live, why they live there, what they're their children talk about where they live. And he discovered that most Americans really were losing a sense of place in this country. So when I heard Richard speak a couple of years ago at Outdoor Writers Association conference, there was a group in the room about maybe twice the size. And he said, how many people in this room tonight would say they are here tonight because they saw their childhood forest story? And I'll bet 3/4 of the people in that room raised their hand. And it just really struck a chord that people really did have a sense of where they grew up, the place. I don't know if kids grow up today have that as much. I grew up in Powell County, Georgia, which I have 5 generations in that county. I moved there in the 1850s from the upcountry, part of South Carolina, part of Piedmont, North Carolina, oak farm country. And a lot of them are there here to this day. So my own path in this book has been really watching my own childhood forest story. It was a profound experience for me. I remember, I'll never forget the bulldozers arriving in my childhood playground. They were the woods that I grew up in, every creek and every tree, every stream I trapped it, I hunted it, I fished it. I knew those woods, and those are all underneath concrete. So I'm so glad to be here tonight to present this book to everyone. I would encourage you tonight, when you pick up your free copy of the book, there is an invitation to donate to Voices from the American Land. And I hope you all do that. So I want to start tonight by just reading a couple of poems from the book. Like I said earlier, I've got some pretty troubled neighbors out there in Cowee. Paul Carlson's here tonight. I'm laying note several of his bolts, but I hope his glasses don't scare him. David Byrne or something. Anyway, so a lot of my poems have been about explorations of people there where I live. This is a poem called Home Place. Here's where Brush Creek at last frees itself from State Highway 28 and shouts hallelujah as it races into the wilds of the Needmore game lanes. Here the creek leaves behind its burden of old sofas, washing machines, car parts, and garbage. Here people were once free of the need for such things, and here things were thrown after the need was placed upon them. My aging neighbor brings me here to show me his old home place, where Babe Burnett shot old Rose, the revenuer, and was acquitted by a jury of his peers. You probably know that story. Kepler said it was the most remote cove in the whole of Swain County. Though a few scabs of gated communities now wither on the otherwise intact landscape, it remains so. 28 was gravel then, the Little Tennessee River unimpeded, park to the north, just a dream of Kepler's and Massa's minds. There was another dream. Its dreamers built a dam and converted the river into warplanes and profit, then snaked tentacles of electricity into the mountain hollows. This roadside has bloomed the history of such decay. Every autumn, Joe Pye weed and bones set bleak beauty upon it and wait. And I'll do one more. Almost 2 years ago, the singer-songwriter, some of you might be familiar with Dick Chestnut, died. Angela and I got to just know him a little bit, and we were very upset by his death. But on our road, after spending some time up in Cowee Range, hiking around Christmas that year. But I'll start with an epigram from William Bartram, who we all talked about. It's hard to do anything really without talking about William Bartram in these mountains. I've heard recently, heard it said that he's probably the only 18th century American that still has groupies. And I'm one of them. This is from his travels. I began to ascend the Jory Mountains, which I at length accomplished, and rested on the most elevated peak, from whence I beheld with rapture and astonishment a sublimely awful scene of power and magnificence, a world of mountains piled upon mountains, and the Jory Mountains were the downhill range, as Bartram described at the time in the poem. Tired of a winter illness, and thick with the news of Dick Chestnut's death, I fill a flask with warm whiskey and climb the ridge spine up to the Cowie's rugged crest. Here are the old Grant fields, where every man's cattle was once welcome, where now an unruly grove of young tulip trees stands. I hear a woodcutter down by the river, the din of his axe ringing with rhythm. He's splitting locust posts and singing a lonesome song of samsara. And before me, there is the vast and static ocean of the Nantahala-Yanaka Mountains, where the great vulture once flew, its giant wings flapping the muddy earth into these rolling, unbridled folds, from which Bartram retreated in awe. The chorus rises into the rolling Alarka sky, questions the soul of the place, and waits. Darkness coming on, I race the moon back down, my inseparable spirit flying homeward with a burning, raptured haste. So, thank you all.
What do you think, Brent? Looks like Buddy Holly with a new What a shock. Can y'all hear okay with this?
Louder.
I can't hear very well.
The mic is not on.
Well, it's on, but you have to really get right up close to it, to all the speakers that are coming after. It's the only way we can get it to work this afternoon. I'm going to read one poem from the chapbook in order to give Barbara more time, because I really want you to hear this woman sing. She's not only a great songwriter, but she's got one of the best voices, female vocal voices that I know of. So I'm going to give her some of my time, because I want you to hear her sing. My poem in the book that I'm going to read is called Mingus Mill. How many people have been over to the Mingus Mill in the park? Yeah. Okay, so you'll recognize all of this. Over rock and gravel bed, Mingus Creek runs fast through the tall trees. Diverted by the makeshift dam, it turns to the right into a mill race lined with boards. An Appalachian aqueduct. Race becomes flume, and flume becomes water's trestle as it flows downhill to the mill. Old man Mingus owned the land, but Scion early planned and built the building to custom grind the grains and corn. Inside the mill, with its hoppers, boxes, and large white stones, the wheat was threshed in bolting chests and squirrel-cage smut machines, only to lie a foot deep on the floor. The corn ground and stored in bins, sifted and bagged for sale. With turbine rusted and penstock in ill repair, the miller says he can't grind my Cherokee corn. Won't be milling till spring, when they've raised enough money to place the pipe and put some power in them gears, he says in an apologetic tone. I'll have to go now to Tennessee to grind my blue and white corn. Almost dusk, the miller closes the gate on the flume, and the water flows over the old wooden boards like a falls.
Really, as I say, really happy to be here. I have a confession to make. I am not from here, and I am not Cherokee. I grew up in the Appalachian Mountains of Pennsylvania, about 700 miles north of here. And when I was a child, my parents would make these kind of pilgrimages to go to Nashville, Tennessee, to the Grand Ole Opry, and to the Cherokee Indian Reservation. And so we were able to experience those important parts of American life that my parents knew as the cowboys and the Indians. But when I came back to these mountains as an adult, I was 18, I guess, and I just really felt like I was home. And from that time on, I did everything that I could to figure out a way to be here and live here and give something back. And so I am real happy to be included in this book of poetry with my distinguished colleagues, Thomas and Brent. And so I want to read a poem that's about Shining Rock Wilderness, which is near Cold Mountain. And this refers to one of the really important Cherokee myths, the myth of the first man and first woman, Duncan and Shayla, who lived in that place. When I say that the Cherokees have been here such a long time, every place in the mountains has a story attached to it. Every gap, every creek, every big hole in the river, a story of a monster or a ghost or a spirit or something important happened there. So this refers to the story of what happened at Shining Rock. You can see we're all the same age. Shining Rock in Cold Mountain Wilderness. First man and first woman lived at Shining Rock, the Cherokees say, below Cold Mountain. When they got angry, Creator made delicious fruits, blueberry, raspberry, blackberry, huckleberry, cherry, gooseberry, and finally, strawberries, to stop the woman in her tracks, to change her anger to longing, to change their love to sweetness. They returned to Shining Rock, still glowing after dark. They returned to their love, still warm and giving off sparks. Let us learn from them. Let us go to Shining Rock. Let us remember to turn from anger with the sweetness of strawberries in our mouths. And then this poem that the title of the book was taken from, and while I'm thinking about it, we have a Facebook page. If you would like to join us on Facebook to learn about more events that we'll be doing. Probably not as wonderful as this one, but we will be speaking and reading, and I'll be playing music throughout the region to try to continue to bring awareness of the mountains and environmental issues to a wider audience. And our Facebook page is called Every Breath Sings Mountains, so you can find us on Facebook. I wrote this poem while I was driving, and a lot of my poetry kind of comes from oral tradition, has a lot to do with oral tradition and the way oral tradition works. I'm a folklorist by trade, and I kind of figure if I can remember a poem long enough to get home and write it down, it's probably might have something worthwhile in it. If I can't remember it, just throw it out. So I wrote this on driving on through the mountains on Route 81. And it's called Naming Place. English place names clatter on our tongues, cacophonous gibberish, Soko, Okomolefti, Tuskegee. They mean nothing. They signify people were here, now gone. The names remain shadows. Cherokee place names speak truth musically. Shogwo Ageyani, one creek, carves miles of valley. Egoni Noti, fast river, dashes downhill from Kawahi's creeks and springs 50 miles to Flat River Bone. Tuskegee, the house rafters in the old days, shape of mountains above Hiwassee. People, still here. Mountains, still here. Words, still here. If you want to know the truth, unpave the roads and walk old trails. Root up parking lots and see villages. Live here 1,000 years until every breath sings mountains. So I want to do a couple songs that are about the mountains. About the same time that I was writing a series of poems, that some of which got included in this book, was writing a series of songs too, and so I'm going to do a couple of those. The mist rise up from mountains like smoke from pipes of prayer. The mountains, they are crying. Does anybody care? They feed our souls with beauty. Their bounty gladly share. Now the mountains, they are changing. Does anybody care? Headlands, they are dying. Chestnuts passed away. Firs are barely standing. And what have we to say? Ancient mountains, before people walk the earth, they'll be here when we're long gone. Tell me what our mountains were. Mists rise up from mountains like smoke from pipes of prayer. The mountains, they are crying. Does anybody care? Does anybody care? And this next song is the first song that I ever wrote that came to me in Cherokee language, and do the Cherokee verses and then the English that goes with I've